Feels good. We're heading into the draft, ladies and gentlemen. Infernal Shrines is our first map of this best of three semi-final. Laubers Fanclub banned out, Braxis Holdout, Washed Up, banned Volskaya Foundry. We're into game number one of our best of three.
Semi-final time. Awesome. And we got a good series on our hands immediately, as you can tell here. So, Infernal Shrines is the first map, best of three, and which team will advance to the grand final? That's the big question right now. On the left, we got Washed Up, and on the right, we have the fan club over here. So, Hazu and his boys, they made it once again pretty deep into the tournament. The same obviously true for the fan club as well. And today the question, who goes on to the grand final with ETC being banned out immediately? And I would say from the two teams, the fan club, I don't really know if you can call it struggle if you end the run in the semifinal in the tournaments, but I think they have higher ambitions than simply going to the semifinals. So I think that they really here for this in the third time on the third try want to make it into the grand final and also take the victory. So yeah, I think they must be a little bit disappointed with the performance from the last 2 weeks and are very, very eager to decide this one in their favor.
This is the first time they don't have to go through the last dance as well to make it to the semi-finals, to the grand final, sorry. So we already have that mixed up. And they, in week number two, they brought the last dance to the limit. So they now need to prove that it wasn't just a fluke and make it to that grand final, where who knows, maybe they could get revenge against the last dance as well, as we see Leoric banned out. Very interesting ban. Higgs, we're seeing a lot of those very high priorities slip through.
Yeah, Leo, honestly, if anything, it was more a surprise to me that Leo was let through the entire time, because we have seen him as a stable ban on this map for like a long time now. He is just absolutely dominant here, and in some of the previous series, it was surprising for me that he went through, but I feel that was also because we were looking today at a lot of teams where we had returning players coming in that were just like focusing on different priorities here. But that allows, of course, other heroes through the draft that we've seen targeted a couple of times. We have Cassia for Nick locked in very early, and we still see that Urel pick over here, as Garrosh also gets locked in together with her. So that duo, that front line, that will make sure that the back line is going to have a pretty safe time here. Also very disruptive in the case of Urel in particular. But I'm hyped for this. This is awesome. This is also best of three series now, once again, so that we get multiple games in this one, because this is another example of a match that could very well go down to the third map.
Yeah, this is the second Cassia game we will see, the first Medivh game we will see of the day. So that gives them a hell of a lot of engage potential here. And again, Cassia really likes to get stuck in. So they also now especially have a way to get people out of that Garrosh engage and protect people from a high burst composition like what we've been seeing so far. It's a very heads-up play and a very sensible ban right now. Removing that Ana. Ana would be incredible here, even with Cassia. Cassia is still a very auto-attack focused hero, but the Nanobis Cassia is no joke.
Yeah. No, it definitely wasn't. No, but Medivh is great here. First of all, we've seen multiple Medivhs already banned, but as you said, we haven't seen him make it through the draft in a situation like this. And against Garrosh in particular, he's going to be great to just allow targets to survive a little bit longer. We've seen other approaches on Battlefield of Eternity, for example, with Yevla Spindel, where they were trying to counteract the Garrosh blow-up setups with Anduin and going for the trade save, but that didn't really quite work out the same way. Having Medivh available is going to give you more options here. But there is Anduin, as we know, just been speaking about him. And we get Gul'dan together with this. So we haven't really seen as much Gul'dan on Infernal Shrines as we did in the past. So lately, he has definitely fallen off here a little bit, but of course, it doesn't change the fact that he's still fantastic. You can make a lot of good plays with your ult in particular, but also just simply getting the Echoed Corruption through on the objective easily gives you additional stacks here. So still a very, very solid pick.
It's weird to see Zul banned out so late and so little throughout the day today. So it's kind of fascinating to see that, as we see Malthael make his way in once again. Good counter for Garrosh and a good backline dive hero to really deal with that Gul'dan and try and force out abilities from Anduin and Urel very early. Fun to see. Final pickup here for Laubers Fanclub. How are they going to finish this out? They need a more standard damage hero instead of double mage. So looking at maybe Raynors, looking at Valor's Greymanes. Lots of options here. They're going for Hanzo.
Okay, Hanzo makes it in, played by Ty this time, and that sets the stage for our first map in the semi-final. Infernal Shrines is the map. Two good drafts for the teams here. And I'm a bit hyped. Can Laubers Fanclub get their revenge, go to the grand final, or is Washed Up just stomping through this to meet potentially Last Dance again for the third time in a row in the grand final of Method Mayhem?
Be fun to see. I'm also really fascinated that Hanzo's sneaking back into games. It's so strange to see him when he's really the only change he's got recently is Dragon Strike getting buffed. And no one plays that. And yet he's still making his way back into games. Speaking of making it into games, these people have made it into my heart. That is Chuchalane donating $25 to cure rare diseases, and Killmeister getting in another $5 as well. Thank you so much for your donations to cure rare diseases.
I was just for a second, I was like, wait, what? Who? I thought you were talking about the player still, and I was like, what did they pick that I missed? So immediately just like looking there. No, I think with Hanzo, again, back in the days, he was like an early pick, maybe oftentimes the first pick for Dignitas, for example, on this map. So now I think it's most of the combo potential more so than anything else. You got a URL with it. If you get a good stun, for example, then you can play around that. So there's a couple of things that they could definitely do in any case. But we're hopping into the game now, so we'll see who's going to take the lead now in this one. Again, map number 1 here. But yeah, Infernal Shrines, so let's set this up. We got on the left side of the map, Washed Up, and over to the right, the Fan Club, in this first game of the best of 3 series at the semi-final of Method Mayhem.
Looking at standard builds so far, mostly across the board. Corruption, we're seeing this target practice. Garrosh has yet to pick, though, and that makes me excited that we could see something a little bit more exciting, a little more interesting. We'll have to see.
I mean, the first thing...
Ooh. Sorry to interrupt you there, Garrosh did go for unrivaled strength here at level 1.
I mean, maybe you are able to get a little bit of a range increase to make it harder for the opponent's team to really utilize those safety tools that we've been talking about earlier. So that might be one of the reasons for this. But outside of that, I still want to also highlight that when it comes to Medivh, a bit of aggression here already around the portal. But when it comes to Medivh in particular, what I still want to see a bit is how well they can play around the baseline. Because we've seen Hazu, I think last week, play Medivh once, and he got killed and never really was able to get too much on the board because he lost his stacks, and that's always the biggest setback for Medivh if you also have to contribute to the damage output. So you need to be super careful at the beginning of the game that you don't lose out too much on that and stack this as quickly as possible.
I think you are correct. Lauber comes in for a delay. Also ends up being a Medivh stack. There's the portal in case they want to chase him down. Nick comes over the side with those charge strikes, do a huge damage. Leap of faith. But here comes Quasar. He wants it, but he doesn't hit Lauber, and that was his target. He would have been able to reach if he had, as he took the Death's Reach at level 1. Interesting talent choice, which gives him a lot of backline dive potential, but he plays it safe, doesn't want to dive to Anduin for any attempt to dive Garrosh, because he would have ended up in the enemy base.
Yeah, also, next camp taken, and that's the one at the bottom. So this is actually something that the fan club was kind of infamous for quite a bit, where they had incredibly good camp control on the map and oftentimes walked away with a lead in experience just simply because their camp pressure and their lane clear was way better than other teams. That was even an advantage that they had over Washed Up. But again, that was quite some time ago. So a lot of teams started to copy that a little bit and really pick up on it. And now it's much harder for them to just use that to establish themselves a lead. But getting that additional third camp reliably at the bottom of the map is a big way of how you can slowly start to establish an advantage over your opponent in experience and eventually talent. So getting the first one might not be the most decisive thing, but if you can make that play off cooldown time and time again, then you're in a good spot here.
Throwing shade coming in for the Malthael here, so he is going for backline dive build. This gives him a much better chance of getting into that backline, so we may see a Tormented Souls here. We'll keep an eye on that. Hand of Freedom for Urel, otherwise looking a bit more standard now for Garrosh, sticking with Indomitable because it's just the best level 4. So very sensible to see that as the objective, spawning in 1 second.
Yeah, normally when we see Tormented Souls, it's in an ideal world when you have Ana too, so that you can go for the combo. And in addition to that, you want to have an opponent that can't simply control you with stuns. Now there's a taunt on the other side, there's Garrosh, you have a Horrify later available. So there's quite a few tools that could ruin that play if they want to go for that style. But you have the protection of Medivh, which would allow you to play very aggressive around it. So there's pros and cons right now. But the Shrine is up, and there's the fight. And Copenhagen is already jumping in. They're applying pressure to Masquerade, but there is still some counter potential, as we already have an aggressive portal to allow them to dive deep if need be. But the teams are still dancing around, with Washed Up establishing a solid lead on the stacks.
Masquerade dives deep. He's got Sovereign armor on, so he's tanking through a lot of these hits, but he's still eating a lot here. The Leap of Faith has to be used on Lauber to keep him upright. And they are zoned away. Washed Up, who had a much more aggressive position and started a little bit earlier. They're going to be able to grab this Punisher. Level 7 will be hit a little bit quicker for Laubers Fanclub. Oh, my Stanger rated. Washed Up just got a whole lane of experience, and they're able to pick it up first.
Yeah, still debate over the wall, exactly as you should set it up, so that you have an easier defense available to you. So the objective gets burned down extremely quickly here. Hanzo obviously helping out, as Ty is connecting one shot after another here. And that shuts it down without the fountain even being touched. In comes UL on the other hand. They're trying to look for a kill. Nick is a bit low. Gets the shield and, yeah, barely dodges out on the damage. But the counter potential against Lauber. Masquerade might be a little bit too low for his own good, though. And they go straight in for the kill against Imperius. And that's first blood in the game as the fan club lock in the kill.
Finally able to pick that up, and you can see how long that took them to get that kill, how much they had to burn to really grab that. Now we look at the other side, talent-wise, Massacre coming in for the Malthael here, so he is going to be able to dive very deep, and it will take him a little bit less to blow up people in that backline. Cassia standard again, this Surge of Light. Since the buffs, it is ridiculously good once you can get stuck in there, which is why you see Plate of the Whale here, because Cassia is going to be running at your face here. This is a standard build these days, but this is going to be a very face-heavy build from Washed Up.
It's always best to go face. Okay,
me trade?
So...
No.
Huh?
Me trade? No. Me go face. Yep.
Yeah. Talking about going face, Tobos is a bit deep and is immediately attacked. Quasar wants to kill here. He needs to be careful that he doesn't fall, but he's able to take Gul'dan down, but he dies as well. Yeah, that's a nice counter kill, but it continues with a follow-up. Garrosh also eliminated. Total 2 kills against 2 now. But yeah, those two are not screwing around. We got good damage out. We got also nice stacks for Medivh, sitting at 29, exactly where it wants to be. Make sure you complete that, and they can play a little bit more aggressive here. So both of the teams definitely not holding back here.
I love the escape attempt from Gul'dan there. Instead of running towards his own base, he ran towards the enemy towers to try and consume Soul and Minion to give himself enough health to get out of there. He was picked off anyway, but I like the heads-up play there. Instead of panicking, you just try to outrun. As level 10 is now available for both teams. We're not going to end up seeing a Tormented Souls. Like you said, no Ana is available, but they do go for Last Rites. So that Malthael is going to be in your backline looking for blow-ups on those squishy backline members.
Yeah, I think there's too many stuns on the other side. There's too much control where you can easily counteract the Tormented Souls. I would say that you don't need Ana for it, but it's a little bit like an ETC setup. If you have too many interrupts, or too many stuns in this case, then you don't get enough value out of it if you go up against an opponent that knows what he's doing. So in this case, they play it a bit more safe. They try to just lock those kills in. They have, of course, also a lot of poke available that they can follow up on. So Last Rites could definitely be a big problem here for the red team. But the next objective is popping up, and it's going to be top side, so that's what we're going to focus on next, as both teams are getting ready for another Shrine fight.
He's going to clean that up, focus it down. We do see Imperius was found in the middle lane. A portal got him a little bit of escape all the way up to top lane here. He's going to activate the Angelic Armaments to try and keep himself alive here. Shield is gone, but it's Medivh, so Masquerade lives.
Oh, big arrow hitting 3, the Horrify, the old man trying to ruin the play, and he actually does. Stay a while and listen coming through to help the team out. Now the portal is up, 33 stacks for Medivh. Shrine completely ignored by both teams, by the way, up to this point. But it's time to fight for the next Punisher.
Someone give Deckard something to identify because he deserves it. That was such a good turnaround from Banana Rage, shutting down the dive and saving potentially many team members' lives. That means Stay a While not going to be available for another 35 seconds here, so they have to play a little bit safer. But everyone is alive, and they still have the Leyline Seal available if they want to try and split this team in half. And right now, positioning is in favor of Washed Up.
I love how you make it sound like Deckard likes to identify stuff. Can you imagine how pissed he is that he has to identify the most mundane things for people all the time? It's a sword, dude. I mean, come on. +3 damage. Really? Couldn't figure that out yourself? There's the taunt on the other hand, and well, if not for that ult in the ley line, that could have actually been a kill, but here comes Masquerade, the save from Anduin. Oh, the clutch plays coming out of both teams here.
Dude, the supports are carrying so hard in this game. Both teams keeping everyone alive as we finally see this Punisher being picked up by Washed Up. It's going to be pushing it here. Yarel's already left, trying to soak in that bot lane, try and rush them towards level 13 here, but they might be trying to make a play. Bolton has dropped. It's not for an engage here. It's more for fear purposes here. As Lauber going to tank this Punisher.
And the bait over again, and that's of course the second one for Washed Up, so they get more and more momentum over here as they're starting to push through the top, and they are actually pressuring them way past the fort, which is going to make it super easy for them to now take the structure itself down. So really, really good setup for Washed Up, despite the fact that they're slightly behind in experience, but even the level 13 talent advantage doesn't help the fan club here. They're going to lose the structure, but in comes Copenhagen, trying to force the fight. They want to capitalize a bit on the position. The taunt comes through. There's the shield from Medivh, but it's not going to be enough to save Masquerade. Nah, but really? What?
Valkyrie found Hanzo. They're able to get out. He gets out. Masquerade's still going. In the meantime, Valkyrie from Nick and the Surge of Light kills off Hanzo. Will he still get out? We see the Force of Will. He lives. Masquerade survived the entire fight. They get the 2 for nothing. Can they make it 3? They look for Tomos, but they can't stand near the wall. Lauber is too scary. Of unrivaled strength, people are going over that wall if they overstep here. Lauber gets chugged here. Hasu, he's playing very bravely now because he is stacked.
Setzen 6. What a fail from them here. Everybody thought that he was dead and dying. Nobody went in for the last hit. Everybody just thought, okay, that guy is gone. And they couldn't have been more wrong here. Totally miscalculated a bit, and the ult came back up, and bam! All of a sudden, he is safe once again. F for effort right there. I mean, that one hurt. Honestly, that one really hurt, I think. If you're the fan club, just imagine this. You're looking at Imperius and you're like, okay, he's dead. You don't kill him. All of a sudden, the fight turns around you. And instead of getting the first kill, then building momentum behind it, and maybe even following it up with kill number 2, all of a sudden, you don't take anyone down and the fight turns against you instead. That one really, really hurt, I feel.
Yeah, they are now basically stuck behind their forts here. They can't step out. They have time, though. The next objective isn't spawning for a bit, so they do have a little bit of time to clear waves, soak themselves up, try and rush as close to that level 16 as possible, because it's going to be much, much earlier for Washed Up. So they are still in this. They're just on the defensive for now, stuck in their base, waiting for their opportunity to make it out. They do have those level 13 talents, which will help keep them alive if this were to happen again. Defensive measures, of course, for Garrosh. We have that health stone for the Gul'dan. On the other side, though, Cassia differentiating from what appears to have been the standard build for a while, so far from what we've seen, and goes for Gloves of Alacrity, the extra attack range instead.
Yeah, and that keeps her even safer at this point, so it's going to be great for her. Stay away from Garrosh. That's pretty much the name of the game here. Stay away from pretty much everybody there. You don't want to be too close to Yrel. You don't want to be close enough to Garrosh that he can make any kind of play here. So I can totally understand that choice. But 16 talents on already. Objectives, thankfully for the fan club, aren't up yet. And again, the ult. And Anduin's like, nope, not on my watch. You come back here. You come back here. The tug of war that we talked about earlier. But yeah, trading big cooldowns, of course, now too.
Henning's doing a really good job with these. He's waiting for the exact moment, shutting down a lot of Valkyries here, and is keeping his team alive and in the fight, more importantly here. We see the mortality on the side of the Malthael here, so the 8% max zero damage. If he's able to get onto Garrosh, that might be a big burst and allow them to actually finish the job and kill him off even more. And on the Imperius, we have Divine Rage and the Melting Touch here, so sticking with this Molten Armor. Really looking for kills here with that armor reduction. Diving deep. Light Bomb, though, and on a Defender is keeping Yrel alive for now.
Yeah, that was nearly a kill, but he got the ult through, and that was super important here. But that's, of course, the cooldown burned as well. Now we have the fight again, folding up right in front of us, the fan club. A bit in the lead, 16 to 18 now, as Washed Up is starting to take more points towards the objective, and they're establishing the position on the shrines as well. There's the flip, they're trying to go for Masquerade, the taunt is already out. In comes the attempt with the Valkyrie to make a play and set it up, but instead it's Gul'dan that goes down first. I think they've seen this movie before. A good start for the fan club, and then Washed Up is just saying like, no, we tried this dying thing, we're not really a fan. Let's turn it around and kill them instead.
Masquerade didn't even look like he was hurt after that angelic armaments came down. So good with the healing from Banana Rage and from his own molten armor talents here. He just didn't even look wounded. He just tagged through it beautifully here. And with that, they take the 1 for 0. They grab the objective, and they're going to be pushing in this middle lane, looking to take down that fort.
I mean, there is a reason why we're seeing more and more Imperius in the main tank position. The hero is just insane. You have so much survivability, you have the damage output on top of that, and also, what is even more important, these reliable stuns that you can just simply put out against multiple targets too. So he's just a total machine. He is incredibly difficult to kill, especially if you have a good support setup behind him. And on top of that, you are so dangerous because you can set up these kills. Again, Valkyrie against Anduin, and Anduin keeps winning that battle.
Yep, Lauber is Hennings, and no one else is Henning. As he picks it up, he's going to heal Lauber back up. It's a Frost Punisher. Keep is disabled, but you can see the sustain and patience of Washed Up. They don't need to rush this. They can just grab themselves this fort as well, and with the fort taken out, that will give them that periodic overtime XP, which can get them to level 20 before the next objective.
Yeah, but the problem is, of course, for the fan club that they haven't taken down a single structure yet. Not even a fountain. They haven't eliminated anything yet. And that's problematic, because it's not only a question of whether or not you're now having catapults push. I mean, that's obviously quite important. Experience is another thing. The passive increase that we now see for Washed Up is pretty significant. But more importantly, wherever the next objective spawns, it's going to be bot side in this case, there's still 2 fountains close by for Washed Up, whereas the fan club doesn't have anything in range. So they need to force fights now and hope for a fight. There's the arrow, there's the engage, they're trying to go for the point, trying to steal the camp away. Once again, they're going for Masquerade as they're trying to also focus in on Malthael, but instead Lauber's in trouble. Lauber is down. Here comes the old man again with a stay a while, and get wrecked, baby. Urel dies, and they are trying to follow it up with another kill thanks to the portal, but the entire team on the red side is just rushing away. Running, trying to escape, trying to stay alive to fight another day. But the situation is getting worse and worse by the second.
And I believe the reaction to that fight is very simply nope, Medivh, and that is the situation we've been in all game. They try to fight, Medivh, force of wills, the person they engage on, that person lives, the turnaround happens, they die. And that has been Laubers Fanclub's game all game today, and as such, this keep is going to drop before Garrosh and Urel respawn. They're going to be able to back up, get level 20, and, well, they're going to get level 20 before the objective is even announced.
Yep, and they also get the keep. I mean, keep plus 20, plus damage at the bot lane, full on map control. It's just... they don't even know what to do at this point. There's only one camp up towards the top right, so it's just like, yeah, well, might as well. There's nothing else to do, so let's just steal their shaman camp away and grab that. Get some pressure going topside. Finally, their own camp is up too, but it is an incredible dominant position that they're in right now. Washed Up is once again showcasing why they hit the grand final twice in a row now in this tournament series.
Remember, this is the best of 3, though. So, Laubers Fanclub, they won't be out of this, even they do drop down in this first game of the series. But right now, it's going to take a hell of a miracle to bring them back into this game number 1. Hanzo clearing up top lane. They get rid of the mercenaries. They are a full level away from their own level 20. This objective will be pushing in bot lane. And honestly, as hard as it sounds, this may end up having to be Laubers Fanclub's play. Either fighting into level 20 or losing a keep, maybe losing the core, and then having to try and fight back afterwards.
Yeah, the problem is not only that they are risking losing a keep, it would be the second keep, so you lose so much control on the map, and it really becomes dangerous. You have to fight, like, you have to pick your poison at this point, and they are apparently deciding to fight into an advantage on the opponent's side. Again, Anduin winning the battle against the Valkyrie here, but that's of course cooldowns used already. Washed up with the ley line. They want to go for it. Medivh cheating as usual on 20. The old man with a follow-up. The arrow comes out. The Horrify. It's great. Is it enough? Banana H is in trouble. He gets the shield for Medivh. They try to get the kill, but they just can't. Finally, Cassia is down, but the double kill as a counter. Gul'dan and Garrosh both fall.
They can't deal with Masquerade. Masquerade was zoning T out of that fight. That entire fight was a 4v4. And while they got the kill, it was good. But then the second Malthael makes it back into the fight. Second Masquerade makes it back into the fight. They were able to turn that and get the 2-4-1. Force the retreat. And this is going to be the Punisher going over to Washed Up with a man advantage. So they're going to be able to make their way into the keep and maybe further.
And talking keeps, top keeper has lost 50% HP. So it's not only about the bot lane now being exposed, the top lane keep is also in trouble, making things even worse. It's a horrible situation to be in. You have at least level 20 talents. I mean, if you're looking for silver linings, that would probably be the one to point out that they have storm talents available. They should have the entire 5-man ready in just a few seconds for the defense here. But it's really a tough game that they're playing here. And Washed Up should at least be able to eliminate every single keep. But of course, the more likely scenario is that they are going to go for an elimination of bot lane keep straight in the core.
Keep getting just whittled down here, stun onto Yrel. Follow up. He drops the Sephirim to hold for now. Needs to retreat though. Hand of Freedom's herself to get out of range. And this keep will drop. Cassia's on the way with the core now under attack. Are they going to try and make the play? Here comes the Indomitable from Loba. He stuns it out. Punisher goes down. Taunt. Light Bomb. And it's not enough. Light Bomb does not go off before the last rise. And there's the pull onto Anduin. The Dragon Arrow is sidestepped. And this is falling apart at the seams for Laubers Fanclub. Are they able to hold with everyone still alive on the side of Washed Up? They move on to the core.
Yeah, that's game right here. They're cleaning house as Gul'dan falls. And it's only Hanzo that's alive. And he won't be able to do anything about it. The core down to 20% already. That's the lead in the series for Washed Up. They take the 1-0 against the fan club in the semi-final of Method Mayhem.
1-0 in this best of 3 series. Washed Up, 1 win away from making their way to their 3rd semi-final out of 3. And potentially their 2nd win out of 3 in the grand finals, if they can make it there. Laubers Fanclub, though, we have seen in the past when they have been taken out in game number 1, they just come back angrier. And that seems to be, honestly, when they've played some of their best games. But that was a little rough. That was quite one-sided. 13 kills to 3 in that first game. It's a solid argument, a solid way of looking at it, and a solid game number 2 is what we're going to be heading into. Tomb of the Spider Queen will be our 2nd map between Washed Up and Laubers Fanclub. Can Washed Up take the 2-0 and make their way on to the grand final, or will Laubers Fanclub bring us to a 1-1 in this best of 3 series? Let's find out. Tomb, again, completely different map in terms of style to Infernal. Only real similarity is wave clear is very highly prioritized.
Yeah, and off we go. 2 on the Spider Queen in the map, and therefore, again, the threat that we might run into Nyx's terrifying Kerrigan, which is always a huge concern. But obviously, you have to pick your poison here, and the first ban goes over to Medivh, who's still a huge threat, even on this map, for the fan club, especially after the impact that he had on the last map. Now, the Kerrigan pick, can you deal with it? Do you have the stuns to shut her down? Is it something that you're really worried about? Do you have some counter plays against her? That's what we're seeing from the fan club in just a bit. For now, Tacita gets a bit prioritized from Washed Up themselves. But here comes the 2nd ban before we're heading into the first pick series. So, yeah, pick a poison. Do you get rid of Banana's Ana? Do you try and ban out another hero of Hazo? Is Kerrigan something that you're worried about in the early picks? Or are we looking at tanks again and a bit more of a meta variation instead?
Let's see. So we're going to see the Ana banned out here. And you know what? That's still fair enough to see in 90% of the banned games against Washed Up. Because every time it's not banned, it's just like, oh, it'll be fine this time. And Banana H proves them wrong. So cool to see that being taken out once more. It's just sensible. And now Washed Up, they have one more ban here. Are we going to see something like the tanks, or where does the priority lie here?
Yeah, I mean, against the fan club, they ban out Zul, so rotations between lanes are not going to be a problem as quickly. Lauber goes for ETC, which generally I don't really mind, but today doesn't really seem to be ETC's day. He got blown up so many times here. And if we maybe see another setup with a Garrosh on the side of Washed Up this time, that would also be terrifying. Again, for Masquerade, you could go Garrosh, you could go Diablo, you could go straight into Imperius. Again, there's so many good picks for him here that also cater towards the map that just doesn't leave him in a position where he has to commit to the hero early. He can really wait for the tank for the later stages, and that allows, first of all, Junkrat to be taken, a hero that oftentimes gets banned here because he's so annoying when you're trying to turn in, so he has nice wave clear, he has good control on the turn-in spot, and the mobility too. Can also follow up on a stun with his mind, push a target in. And you got on top of that now Urel, who just has climbed in the priority more and more with every single week that we're casting this series.
Yeah, I'm going to see Rhaegar making his way through the first rotations here, being picked up by Laubers Fanclub with ETC and Leoric, both very solid auto attack heroes, so already looking good for a potential Bloodlust composition. So Washed Up now, this would probably be a sensible ban on someone like Greymane or Tassadar or any of those heroes that will really capitalize off that. They banned Deathwing.
Deathwing banned out. I mean, again, if you get like another melee over here, triple melee is always neat. We've seen how impactful it is if you have a strong triple melee setup and a good damage dealer in the backline. And with Leo and ETC, you can definitely go for that. And Deathwing adds so much. He adds the wave clear. You have also, of course, even more interrupt potential. And pretty much another tank in your setup too. But here comes the Johanna ban. Oftentimes an early pick on this map. I mean, for obvious reasons. She just excels at the wave clear and has a fantastic control. But as I said previously, there's still plenty of good tanks to be taken. But it becomes a wave clear question. Do you have another tank that really offers you the wave clear? Do you get your wave clear from another source? Do you just simply add another range damage dealer, for example, that can clear one of those waves quickly? Because right now, with Rhaegar and Leo, we have a good setup for the fan club on that end.
Deckard Cain and a Nubarak coming in here. We don't see the return of the Garrosh. It is not going to be taken here. Obviously, it was on the other side last game, but returning we could have seen it on this side or even the Imperius. So we're sticking with a Nubarak, which is interesting because I wouldn't call that a potential hard disengage hero against a Bloodlust composition, but it does have a lot of mosh interrupts.
And also, this is pretty much cool in a setup with Urel, because this is the Eastern Clash setup, so this is Korea style, what we're seeing right now. And Nubarak and Urel can jump in together, and you have a lot of things that you can do with that. You can set up Deckard Cain for another seal, you can set up Junkrat for a good mine, and you at the same time also have, for example, a Cocoon available, so once that Bloodlust is used, you just Cocoon some of the crucial parts of the composition, like, for example, Greymane, and shut that down. So it's always a comp where you want to have the quick engage, and you really need to be snappy about it. But it's a very good one if you have the coordination for it. And if Washed Up has anything, then it is that coordination that they need here. And Nick comes in with Kira as the final pick for Tomb of the Spider Queen. All right. Game number 2, Tomb of the Spider Queen. Potential for Washed Up to walk away with a 2-0 victory and decide the series in their favor. Force that grand final slot once again for themselves. But yeah, good setup for both sides here. And very aggressive from Washed Up in particular.
I do like the Kira as the last pick for that aggression, like you're saying, also due to the fact that it is a little bit of extra disruption for this Bloodlust composition, because this is looking at Greymane Cassia as the final 2 picks, is absolutely looking to be a Bloodlust composition. And that rush down potential with that huge damage output can be disrupted quite effectively by that Kira if she's able to play effectively, get those good revolving swings. This is doable, and on the other side, as I already mentioned, Washed Up have some good engage potential of their own, with a Nubarak as the setup, and then they have really good damage output. Solid rosters from both teams. The easier composition to execute is definitely Laubers Fanclub, but Washed Up has a lot of potential here.
Yeah, it's really the engage of Masquerade. A Nubarak is always a tank where, in most cases, I mean, depending on who tries it, if you see it in a bit of lower leagues, it always backfires, it seems, because people just play it wrong. But if it's really just like one of those blow-ups composition, then it's great. He has a lot of CC, he has to engage when you tunnel in, and if you coordinate the team around that, you have a lot of potential for those quick kills. And that's something that's really threatening, because once that you walk away with a bit of a lead, you can really establish a bit of a snowball and take those structures down. And that's something that the fan club has to be careful about. I mean, they obviously know that too, but it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to deal with that in general. But well, We're going to head into the game, and Washed Up can prove now that they're able to pull this off and win the series with a 2-0. If it doesn't come to that, then we will get a third map. Wouldn't be too sad about that either. But off we go. Tomb of the Spider Queen, ladies and gentlemen. Washed Up against Laubers Fanclub. Game number 2, the lead for the blue team. And here on Tomb, we're going to find out if they can clutch out a victory, or if we are once again looking at a third map here at Method Mayhem.
We are underway. Teams heading towards the center of the map. No one's splitting off into individual lanes for the moment. Masquerade meets up with Lauber. Neither one goes hard. It's just a little bit of a harass by Masquerade as he backs up. Lauber decided not to engage because he would have ended up on the wrong side of that structure in the center of the map at the bottom bush. So he lets that one go. Lauber goes very aggressively in, looking for Nick here, but finds himself on the other side of that structure, exactly as we just said. And down he goes.
Yeah, and that's not really the way that you want to start off a map that could potentially be your last in this tournament, right? So, good setup from Washed Up. Clean kill, and that gives them a slight lead now in the rotation. It's an early game kill, death timers are low, so he's going to be back soon, but at least for the beginning of this second map, it will allow the Washed Up team to rotate a bit quicker between those lanes and establish a bit of an advantage on the gems. And Lauber? Yeah, has to be careful. 1 stun, 2 stun. Yeah,
very nice.
He came, he saw, and he died again. Venny, VD, GG.
I've never, ever heard it referred to in that way before, and I love it very much. As we see the rotation down to bot lane, they want to see if they can grab Leo, but he's playing very safe, but they'll at least secure your rail grabbing this camp.
I have another variation that I can drop later.
Okay, I'm excited.
I was bored one day.
So you read Latin?
No, I mean, if you read Asterix and Obelix, you know a lot of that stuff, right? It's just like those thingies, and you can just adapt them a little bit for gaming. It's like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry, was that Asterix and Obelix or Asterix and Obelix?
Asterix and Obelix.
Nice. I thought it was Asterix and Obelix, so fair enough. I learned pronunciations.
Didn't we just say the same thing?
Well, I was wondering how you pronounced it, because it's at least how I pronounced it was Obelix when I read it, so yeah, I get what you mean.
I mean, it's initially French, right? So, like, I don't know how you pronounce it there, but...
it's Gorlick?
I only can give you that interpretation, but yeah. I mean, either way, I'm pretty sure I have another one for Lauber in just a second. But in this case, he goes for the power slide, but misses it. Now, of course, getting a kill would really help them, at least on the moral level. But also, they get their camp quite a bit later than the opponent. Talking about camps, by the way, we haven't really mentioned it, but of course, it was visible on the map here too. Siege Giants have now been taken as well. So you see that lead slowly established here. And yeah, ETC sliding back as he sees a few too many heroes here. Venny, VD, PP. He came, he saw, and he peed his pants.
Alright then, didn't expect that one. And we also saw T using his fend to back up there to get himself out of danger. Lauber is having deja vu as he gets stunned out, but is knocked away by the concussion mine. Not enough for a kill here as Nick grappling hooks away to freedom. Also, Cassia differentiating from the standard build we've been seeing all day today and goes for Ring of the Leech, the old standard talent at level 4.
I actually have a little bit of a theory. I mean, at this point, it seems that Lauber playing ETC, you know, he's not actually dying. He's committing intentional Sudoku because he's trying to supply the opponent with beef. He's not... I mean, he's not called the Burger Boy for nothing here. But in this case, that might be a little bit too much beef. Nah, okay, he gets out this time. I was actually afraid that they could lock him down again for a kill. That level 7 talent advantage is a problem at this point for the fan club because there are enough gems on both sides for a full turn-in. And it seems like Washed Up is pretty determined to get that first Web Weaver wave controlled.
They hold for now, playing it safe a little bit further back. Dequaza trying to zone Tobos to the point where they can maybe turn it into a kill. Here comes ETC with the power slide, looking for a pickup here. Heading his concussion mind away. And the full disengage comes out. No kills able to be acquired here. As everyone backs away. Still Surge of Life for Cassia, and as a reminder to everyone, Ring of the Leech was changed here. It now is basically lifesteal as default, but if you're able to get targets onto the blinded heroes, then you're able to affect your Fend and your Lightning Fury as well.
Blue Web Weavers are now descending. One thing that I also want to highlight is, I mean, two things actually. When we talk about Anubarak, he actually went for the full engage build over here, which is kind of important to note because we've seen so many different variations lately, and a lot of the Anubarak styles have been evolving a little bit more around Carapace. But now we still have the old school Under King and Subterranean Shield, plus the Regeneration Master. So you're really trying to go for those extra 500 HP. And it's kind of interesting that he doesn't really have that many stacks yet. He gets a little bit more now. He just picked up another 2 globes. But once that he has that, he's a lot more tanky. And they want to play this style where they just go in, as we mentioned during the draft, and get these quick engages, get the stuns, and then follow up with the rest of the team and the CC that they contribute there. And that is actually what I really... This particular style is what I find is the scariest on a Anubarak if played well. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now happen at the bottom of the map, where they're once again trying to lock down Cassia for another kill.
T gets out though, nice cleanse from Henning to block the first stun and lets him get a little bit closer to the rest of his team, so he is able to survive here. He will back out. Greymane's clearing up top lane. He went for Quicksilver Bullets, by the way. He's a little afraid of being jumped on by Yrel. This gives him more freedom and space. And it looks like all the forts will survive. Front walls are non-existent for Laubers Fanclub now, but washed up. They are continuing to put on the pressure. They're grabbing mercenaries, and they have someone at each of the turning points to prevent Laubers Fanclub from getting their counter.
Anubarak on the crab is just too much. I don't really know, but that's just too much. I don't know what to say about that.
Oh dear, the bug on the crab. Alright, as Banana Rage tries to turn in his 2 gems, is denied by T.
Okay, I gotta say, that just looks wrong. Like, I don't know why, but like, that's just simply too much for me. Like, put him on a carpet, I'm okay with that, but yeah, that looks like... This looks like a weird snack, I don't know. Anyways. Quasar with his 22... Huh?
That's fair enough. Fair enough. I can see the weird snack. I didn't see it for a second, then I saw it.
Yeah, it's like, it's just strange. I ate a lot of weird stuff in Korea, and that sounds like one of those delicatesse things that you would never think about to eat until someone tells you that that is actually a thing. So yeah, bug on crab. You gotta try it once at least, you know? It's just like...
So what we have here is a deep-fried Ultralisk on a boiled crab in Pepsi. Something like really weird like that.
It's just too much exoskeleton. Too much carapace.
About
too much! Dead. That's too much damage! Greymane down, and that's a lot of gems lost. Oh boy, they have a problem, and it's a big one. 3 kills to 0. They go in for the doggy. They try to take the pocket chihuahua down as well, but Henning escapes.
Loba, he's backing up. He's got much available, but he's not able to use it. Didn't want to burn it at that point. He drops over 15 gems here. I believe that's 17 gems overall. He is taken out, and Quasar now with a big old chunk of gems turns in hers. They only need 4 more, and they have it. It's being turned in by Nick.
They're getting murdered here. It's 4 kills against 0, but that's not the big problem. The big problem is the amount of gems that they lost. It was 22 on the initial kill, and they recovered a couple, but in general, they just lost way too many. They're in so much trouble here. The fort in the middle is about to fall. Fort at the bottom is also in danger. And look at the experience. This push is actually going to happen with a level 13 talent advantage to boot. They are in a massive amount of pain here, and trying to stop the bleeding is going to be so difficult. They could easily lose even more heroes here, and we already see the aggression happen, as Washed Up, of course, knows that they can now push the envelope a little bit further. There's the attempt! Oh, the beetle goes down, even drops the cocoon! The old man! Taya against Tobos, it's not a kill, but the fight is turning against the fan club, boys.
Looking for Nick, who's overextended himself a bit, but Grappling Hook gets himself out of danger. They're going to be able to clean up the Web Weaver, and no one dies somehow. Everyone gets out of there alive, but here comes the cutoff on the escape. They're looking for Ty, but Ty just takes the other route. He just walks around.
The problem is that they lost now the middle and the bottom, so both of those Web Weavers are just having an absolute field day. Moving out, pushing the lanes, destroying structures. ETC is at least done with his quest, so that's something, but holy hell, we're 10 minutes in, and we have a massive advantage now for Washed Up, and they're just saying, you know what? I thought there was a boss on the map. Let's go for the OG throw pit and take this one. But Lauber... Team! The stun!
Tornado! Oh my god.
And Lulba is down.
Brutalized. Not a chance. Not a hope. Ty scouts his way in. It would be very, very brave and almost certainly a bit foolish if they were to try and contest this now. They're going to let that one go. Lauber finds himself in the Horde of the Storms again. Masquerade going to tank through this. In the meantime, Leo just heads down bot lane because clearing lanes is about all he can do at this point.
And now look at the gems. We have 84 gems in their hands. They have 17 already turned in, which means that in total they are roughly at 100 gems. So if you compare that to what we have for the opponent's team, that means in sum there's roughly 50 gems that they lost in total over the duration of this game. And that hurts a lot. The comeback potential is still there, but it is getting diminished by the second. If they lose this as well, if Ty goes down 2, then they are in even more trouble. In comes Nick with Cassia. With Kira, he's trying to get the kill in. He tries to go for Tobos. Henning is low. Henning has 22 gems. Henning is down. The doggy is dead. Oh my god, this hurts. The 4 down, the gems gone, and the boss just murdering top lane now. With level 16 coming any second into the hands of the blue team.
Valkyrie, they're going to try and go for one blow-up, but Ardent Defender comes out, and here comes Masquerade. They've isolated Loba, they've killed off Tobos. Ty is doing everything he can. Mosh Pit is interrupted by the Trollnado as they look for Dayquaza. That's going to be the keep going down, and most likely the core. Wow, washed up. What a dominant performance.
Lauber slides in again, tries to go for the mosh pit, ET, see you later, and tries again. So now we go straight up for the core. Could easily be the end of this game, and they are just mercilessly moving through the red team. This is gonna be it for sure. Hero after hero dies, the boss still up even, and they are just going for it. 30%, 20 left. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a finalist. Washed Up moves on to the grand final for the 3rd time in a row at Method Mayhem.
Nicely done. Very convincing 2-0. Very little doubt this time. Unlike last week where they did look a little bit shaky in the semifinals, this time, Washed Up. Absolutely insane. And I feel sorry for whoever they go up against in the finals. Wow. I have very few words for that. That was just incredibly brutal. And that's the 3rd, 4th time we've seen Nick absolutely wreck on Kira. So that's another hero in his repertoire that we need to be super afraid of now.